You running drugs?
I'd rather die than tell you.
You're already a dead man.
You'll send your strangers packing. I will.
You were in a hole, and so was I.
They want us.
Then they're gonna get us.
Thought I'd seen my last firefight.
The trailer just dropped, and honestly, everything we thought we knew about Joaquin is completely wrong. We see him standing alone in the darkness, making a phone call that could literally destroy everyone at the 10-Petal Ranch. And then suddenly there's gunfire, chaos, and Beth and Rip are loading their weapons like they're preparing for an all-out war. But here's the thing that's blowing my mind right now. Joaquin's expression in that trailer suggests he's not fighting against the 10-Petal Ranch at all. He's actually orchestrating something far more sinister, something that could end everything we care about in this show. And if our theory is correct, the secret he's about to reveal will change the entire game in ways that nobody is expecting. The trailer for episode 9 is absolutely insane, and I have to say that after watching it multiple times, I genuinely believe we're about to witness the most shocking turn of events in Dutton Ranch history. At the end of episode 8, we saw Joaquin make a phone call from the cemetery, and honestly, this moment has been haunting me ever since because it's clear that whatever he's doing, he's not doing it impulsively. He's executing a carefully planned strategy that he's probably been thinking about for a very long time. And what makes this even more interesting is that the trailer shows us glimpses of what's about to happen, but it doesn't give us the complete picture, which means the show's producers are really trying to keep us guessing about what Joaquin's ultimate goal actually is. The fact that he's willing to make such a risky move tells us that he's reached a breaking point, and he's finally decided that he can no longer stay silent about the crimes that have been happening at the 10-Petal Ranch. Now let's talk about what we actually see in the trailer, because there are several moments that completely caught me off guard. First of all, we see Joaquin having an intense conversation with someone on the phone, and his body language suggests that he's not asking for help or advice. He's actually demanding something, and he's making it very clear that whatever this person does next is going to have serious consequences. The tone of his voice is different from anything we've heard from him before, because he's no longer the scared kid who's afraid of Rob Will's power. He's become someone who's willing to risk everything to take down the people who have wronged him. And honestly, I think this is the moment where Joaquin finally realizes that he has more power than he ever thought possible, and he's ready to use it against the people who deserve it the most. The second major moment in the trailer is absolutely brutal, and honestly, I wasn't expecting to see this level of action so early in the season. We see Rip and Everett grabbing their guns and preparing for what looks like a serious shootout, and the intensity on their faces tells us that they're not just preparing for a minor confrontation. They're getting ready for something that could potentially end lives, and they're treating this situation with the seriousness that it deserves. The trailer shows us at least 3 separate gunfights, and each one looks more dangerous than the last, which suggests that the 10-Petal Ranch is going to fight back harder than we ever expected. And what's even more interesting is that Beth is nowhere to be seen during these gunfights, which makes me wonder if she's actually coordinating these attacks from somewhere else. Maybe she's on the phone with Rip, giving him instructions, or maybe she's actually doing something even more dangerous that we haven't even thought of yet. But here's what really caught my attention, and honestly, this is the part that's been keeping me up at night. In the trailer, we see a moment where Joaquin is walking towards the main house at the 10-Petal Ranch, and his face is completely expressionless. He's not angry, he's not sad, and he's definitely not scared. He's completely emotionless, like he's already made peace with whatever is about to happen next. This suggests that Joaquin might actually be walking towards either his own destruction or the destruction of everyone around him. And the fact that the show is giving us this moment tells us that something absolutely massive is about to go down. We also see a quick flash of what looks like Rob Will in the trailer, and he's on the phone too, which suggests that he's also aware that something is coming for him. But the question is, does he actually understand the magnitude of what's about to happen? Or is he completely underestimating the threat that Joaquin represents? Another shocking moment from the trailer involves what looks like a confrontation at the cemetery. And honestly, this makes so much sense considering that Joaquin made his mysterious phone call from the cemetery in episode 8. The cemetery has become the place where secrets are revealed, where alliances are formed, and where people make deals that could change their lives forever. And if Joaquin is returning to the cemetery in episode 9, it probably means that he's either meeting with someone who can help him, or he's preparing to do something that requires him to be in a sacred place. The emotional weight of this scene is absolutely incredible, because we can see that there are multiple people present at this meeting, and not all of them look happy to be there. Some of them look terrified, like they're about to do something that goes against everything they believe in, while others look determined, like they've already committed to this plan and there's no turning back. Now let's talk about what we think Joaquin's actual plan is, because honestly, I've been analyzing the trailer frame by frame, and I think I might have figured out what he's actually trying to do. Based on everything we've learned from episode 8, Austin told Beth and Rip that the 10-Petal Ranch has been stealing cattle from Mexico illegally, and Joaquin's father or godfather is probably the one who's been coordinating these illegal activities. So when Joaquin makes that phone call from the cemetery, I think he's actually calling his godfather and asking him to stop stealing cattle. But here's where it gets interesting, because Joaquin might actually be threatening his own godfather, saying that if he doesn't stop these illegal activities immediately, then Joaquin himself will expose everything to the authorities. This would explain why Joaquin looks so emotionless in the trailer, because he's making a decision that could literally destroy his own father figure. And that's an incredibly heavy burden to carry. But wait, there's another possibility that's even more interesting. And honestly, this theory has been growing on me more and more as I think about it. What if Joaquin isn't actually calling his godfather to ask him to stop? What if he's actually calling him to ask him to help him take down Rob Will and everyone else at the 10-Petal Ranch? In this scenario, Joaquin's godfather would be some kind of powerful figure in Mexico. Maybe someone involved in organized crime, or someone with serious connections that could be useful in a war against the 10-Petal Ranch. And if this is true, then the gunfights we see in the trailer might not be between Beth and Rip versus the 10-Petal Ranch. They might actually be between Joaquin's godfather's people and Rob Will's hired guns. This would completely change the dynamic of the show and would introduce a completely new level of danger that we haven't even considered yet. The trailer also shows us several moments where we see Beth looking absolutely furious. And honestly, her expression in the trailer suggests that she's finally reached her breaking point with the 10-Petal Ranch. Beth has been dealing with threats and manipulation from Rob Will for the entire season, and it's clear that she's done playing games. She's ready to go to war, and she's not going to stop until everyone who has wronged her is completely destroyed. And I think the fact that Beth looks so angry in the trailer tells us that something happens in episode 9 that makes her realize that she can no longer just defend herself. She has to go on the offensive and attack the 10-Petal Ranch before they have a chance to attack her. This could mean that Beth and Rip actually plan the first strike, which would explain why they look so prepared and so determined when they're loading their weapons. One of the most shocking moments in the trailer is when we see what looks like Bula in a state of complete distress. She's not at the hospital anymore, she's out in the open somewhere, and she looks absolutely terrified. Her expression tells us that whatever she's dealing with right now is way beyond anything she ever expected to face. And honestly, I think this moment suggests that Bula is finally starting to realize that she made a massive mistake by leaving the ranch to Rob Will. She's starting to understand that Rob Will is not going to keep his promises to her, and she's starting to see that she's actually put herself in extreme danger by making this decision. But by this point, it's probably too late for her to change her mind, because she's already committed to this path and there's no turning back. So here's the question that's absolutely destroying me right now, and I genuinely don't know how to answer it. Is Joaquin actually the hero of this story? Or is he actually the villain who's been manipulating everyone from the very beginning? The second critical piece of information we need to understand about episode 9 is that Beth and Rip are no longer operating in the dark. They now have concrete evidence about what's really happening at the 10-Petal Ranch, and this knowledge has completely transformed their strategic position. When Austin revealed that the 10-Petal Ranch has been stealing cattle from Mexico illegally and that Wes was murdered because of this operation, Beth and Rip finally understood the complete picture of their enemy's criminal enterprise. This means that in episode 9, we're going to see Beth and Rip move from a defensive posture into an aggressive strategy that's designed to completely dismantle the 10-Petal Ranch from the inside out. The fact that they now know exactly how the 10-Petal Ranch makes its money, exactly who they're working with in Mexico, and exactly why Wes died, gives them an incredible advantage that they never had before. This is the moment where Beth transforms from being a victim of Rob Will's schemes into being the architect of his destruction. The trailer reveals several crucial moments where we see Beth making phone calls and having intense conversations with various people. And honestly, I think this is where Beth's intelligence really shines through. Beth is not the type of person who fights with just brute force. She's someone who understands that information is power, and she's going to use every piece of information she has to systematically take apart her enemies. One of the most important calls in the trailer appears to be between Beth and someone in law enforcement, which suggests that Beth has finally decided to go through official channels to expose the Ten Petal Ranch's criminal activities. She's probably not going to just turn over the evidence about the cattle theft and Wes's murder to Sheriff Wade directly. Instead, she's likely going to coordinate with federal authorities or with someone higher up in the law enforcement hierarchy who has the power and the resources to actually bring down an entire criminal organization. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating, because Rip's role in Episode 9 is completely different from anything we've seen before. The trailer shows us multiple moments where Rip is not just protecting the ranch anymore. He's actively participating in what looks like offensive operations against the Ten Petal Ranch. We see him loading weapons, gathering men, and preparing for what looks like a coordinated military-style assault. And honestly, the fact that Rip is willing to take such dramatic action tells us that he's finally convinced that there's no other way to solve this problem besides taking direct action against Rob Will. Rip has always been someone who believes in doing things the right way. But if Beth and Rip have determined that legal channels aren't going to work fast enough, then Rip is probably willing to cross lines that he never thought he would cross.